Everyone, I'm Brandon Smith. I am a teacher in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I teach at Helix STEAM Maritime Academy, downtown Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And today we're going to go through a system that has taken me some years to really develop to get students involved in how they grow their writing. And it involves less of me and more of them, okay?
At our 2025 summit in Chicago, Brandon Smith led a workshop on using the writing rubric to not merely assess student work, but mainly to build a writing relationship with his students.
Writing is a process, so we're going to make a relationship and how we're going to build that process. And I understand we both have parts in that relationship. It doesn't just have an end point at the end of the school year, but more so it's a process throughout the entire school year.
The writing relationship starts by introducing students to the rubric almost immediately.
And it's not just something that takes a whole week, but it's something that I teach them from day one, day two. I have to really motivate them on they're thinking they all have to reach or be 7 feet tall. You don't have to be 7 feet tall. You're good at 6 or 5 or 5.5, but you started at 2 like 1. Actually, you started with actually nothing, and then they started to understand what pieces they had to play in that growth, but also having a relationship with me. Like Mr. Smith knows how I write.
Although he uses the rubric to determine students' essay grade, its real purpose is to help them become accountable to their own work. They're learning to assess their own writing, asking themselves, what am I doing right? What's missing?
When I'm teaching the students about how important their student work is, I have to integrate what teacher documents they give us and not gatekeep them, and really show them what things they need to be successful writers, okay? And teaching them the why and how. Why am I showing you this document the state provided me? Granted, it has a lot of words that you probably have no idea what they mean, but I'm going to show you which ones you need to make sure you get that mastery or proficient essay. Now, I always grade them on that same rubric that I just taught them on. They just don't know where it's going with that. They're like, okay, well, we're just going to start writing like the second day. Okay, it's a fun topic, so let's write. But I'm actually collecting data, seeing where they are.
His rubric focuses on 4 key elements.
We have to know exactly what's on the rubric and how they define the words that they need. And at the bottom, y'all see 4 colored words, yes? All right, claim, you see explanation, reference to a given source, and relevant content knowledge. So they're like, okay, well, this is what a good essay has. It has a claim, it has evidence, it has relevant content knowledge, it has this. So first couple of days, I'm teaching them that. Let's look at claim. A claim should stand out from the rest of the student's response. A claim can be 1 or 2 consecutive sentences or phrases that provide an answer to the prompt, but cannot be pieced together from different parts of the response. How many sentences is your claim? What are the possible? 1 or 2, underline that part. All right, let's do explanation together real quick. An explanation is an elaboration on a student's answer to the prompt. Often a student's content knowledge will be embedded in the explanation of their answer to the prompt.
This is not some mysterious document students are measured against without ever really understanding. Rather, Brandon uses the rubric to demystify the essay and his expectations.
All right, so here's a simplified version. Our claim restates and answers all parts of the prompt. All right. Demonstrates, illustrates, conveys, or explains how for the explanation. Okay. Simple for our reference. It's a reference to a source that supports our claim. And then relevant background knowledge on the topic, all right? And that's our simplified, watered down version for the students to be able to digest that information. And that they know which parts they're missing so they can get higher.
Using the rainbow editing technique, he uses colored pens or pencils to identify these essential essay elements.
We're just going to read it first. Afterwards, we're going to go through our definition and see which parts they actually do have. The American jury system still is not a good idea because the jury system is barely used. The American jury system is not good because the jury can have biased opinions with the defendants that is not fair.
Okay, it's not a proficient essay, but again, he uses the rubric not so much to score student work, though he does that too, but rather to identify what essay elements have been included or are missing.
Now this is how the students are graded, and it's important that each student knows exactly what parts they need to get a 4, what parts they need to get a 3, what parts they need for a 2 and a 1.
In his workshop, Brandon asks his fellow teachers to imagine they are students in his class, tasking them with finding those crucial essay elements, if they exist, and assessing their quality.
What is the claim? Highlight that first sentence pink, okay? The American jury system is not good because the jury can have biased opinions with the defendants, and that is not fair. Is that what part is that? Is that evidence, or is that like a repeat of our claim?
A student gets a point for each color, that is, for each element.
Are they elaborating? So what I've decided, I think this is more of an extended part of their claim. So let's highlight that pink as well. All right, for next sentence? Okay.
For this exercise and for his students' first DBQs of the school year, he focuses on the first paragraph, not an entire essay. It's in that first paragraph that the essential elements are established, or not.
Focus on getting a really good claim, evidence, and argument inside. 2.8%. Let's just stop there. What part is this? This is evidence. Let's highlight that yellow. You know, it is overwhelming at first. But as a teacher, I'm not gatekeeping any of the resources that anyone gives to me, but more so catering it for my students to understand.
The colors help students internalize those essay elements. If every essay makes a strong claim or thesis, and if the claim is color-coded, as say pink, soon they're asking themselves some really instructive questions. Is my essay pink enough? Do I have enough yellow?
It kind of looks fun, you know. You're like, I'm looking for 4 colors, and I don't see those. I don't see 2 colors, so that makes using the rubric a lot easier because I mean, you can't get 4 points from 2 colors. So if 1 point per color, then it just makes it a little bit easier, more visual, and not so much something that takes hours and hours to do. I have focus areas as I go through the student work. So this being their first student work, they don't know this. I am focused on them completing a claim to this question. So yes, I want everything else, but my focus area as a teacher is, so can we build on this? Knowing that this is my focus area and they have something that we can work on? Yeah, okay. Mr. Smith, how can I get to a proficient writer with adding one more effective piece to my paragraph? The students really get like accountable to what they need in a good response or a good essay, and taking that to make a relationship with the teacher. Like, all right, well, I only have these 2 colors, and routinely these are the only 2 colors I'm able to get out my head when I start writing. So as a teacher, I know that the other 2 colors is what I can start working on, but building the colors that they're really good on. You're having a conversation about this. This is your outline with each student. It really gives me an indicator on what accountability the student has to that writing.
In essence, through this rubric-based dialogic process, Brandon is asking students to take responsibility for their growth and development. In a way, they're learning to teach themselves, because as he said, it involves less of him and more of them.
Like, this is what you have, but we're gonna go with what strengths you have and what can we grow from that. And to that point, they stop from, and this is just my experience, they stop really caring about the actual grade. They just want to get better. And they know if they learn the parts, then the grade will get better.